introducing next is a good friend and a neighbor. He represents the Kingwood-Humble area over to Beaumont, just next door to our district. You know him. He is a former member of the United States Air Force Reserve. As a felony prosecutor in Harris County, as a judge known for his creative sentencing, I know nothing would make my friend Ted Poe happier than to make President Obama walk around wearing a sandwich board that says, "I added $3.5 trillion to America's debt." He is not shy about telling you what he thinks. He's going to tell you the way only he can. There is no one stronger about supporting our troops, securing our borders, creating justice for victims of crime, and living in a constitutional America than our next speaker. Please welcome Congressman Ted Poe.
Thank you, Kevin. It's great to serve the United States Congress with Kevin Brady. I've got news for folks in New York City. The first word on the moon was Houston, not New York City. And we are not through with the fight to get the shuttle that belongs in Space Center USA from New York and get it back here at home where it belongs. That is just an example of the administration's war with Texas. And they have been at war with Texas since they stole our military equipment plant in Sealy, Texas, since they have the offshore moratorium, since they have sent the EPA down here to shut down the energy industry. But you understand something. Texas is not going anywhere. We're going to win this battle against the administration. This is a great time to be a Texan, because you see, 175 years ago this month, one of the greatest battles in all of world history took place not far from here, where the Buffalo Bayou comes to the San Jacinto River and the great battle of the San Jacinto battlefield. And 175 years ago this month, there were people from all over the country that had found their way to Texas. And they were all, to a person, a volunteer. And they stood on that battlefield outnumbered by the enemy over 2-1. And they were there with General Sam, and General Sam and the boys decided there were some things worth fighting for. And one of those was liberty. And they defeated a superior enemy on that day, April 21st, 1836, and Texas became a free and independent nation. And for 9 years, Texas was an independent nation. And only by one vote, when a Louisiana senator changed his vote, Texas got into the Union. Some folks wish the vote had gone the other way. I'm one of them. But it has always been the volunteer that has made a difference in Texas history. And before the Battle of San Jacinto, you all know what took place up on Interstate 10 in a beat-up old Spanish church that we call the Alamo, where 187 volunteers from every state in the United States, 13 foreign countries, and of all three races stood there defiant against 6,000 of the enemy. And they gave everything they had for that word, freedom. And they were all volunteers. The fight for freedom never ends. It began at San Jacinto and the Alamo, and it continues today here in the Woodlands, Texas. And we must continue that fight because it never ends, the fight against those who want to oppress us. You know, the Constitution starts out, we the people. It does not start out, we the subjects of government. Government is to be controlled by us. And right now, we're fighting a government that wants to control every aspect of your life. And I've got news for those people that want government to run roughshod over our lives. You will not win that battle. We will not go away. We will not disappear in the darkness. We will fight until we win this battle. There are some things government ought to do. Besides not taking control of our lives, there are some things the government should do that it does not do. You know, we're engaged in 2 wars halfway around the world. And let me say this. We have the finest military that has ever existed in the history of the world, representing us tonight in Afghanistan and Iraq. There is no question about it. The finest. But the third front, the third battlefield is ignored by Washington. And that takes place on the southern border of the United States. And it's about time that the federal government understand that it has the obligation under the Constitution to protect us from foreign invasion. And it's occurring on the southern border of this nation. We protect the borders of other countries. It's about time we protect our own border. And that is the obligation of our federal government. And we will continue to fight to make sure they secure the border. I hope that the federal government, through legislation I've introduced, we put more boots on the ground. And one way to do that is to put 10,000 National Guard troops on the border to keep people from coming into the United States, no matter who they are. We have to do that. But our fight is not over. We have a long ordeal, and we need you to be in the fight. We find out what people are made of when times are tough. That has been our history in this state. That is why this place we call Texas is so special. This 175th anniversary of our independence. And we will continue to think independently. You know, as Reagan said, government's not the answer, government's the problem. That is true. And we will be independent, but we must be united together in a force to make sure that we always do the right thing. And never grow weary of doing what is right. Because that is our goal, to do what is right, both in Austin and in Washington, D.C. So God bless you, God bless Texas, and thank you very much for what you do for freedom of our nation. Thank you.
Keep it going. Ted Poe. We need more Ted Poes in Washington. Wow, if you're in the 2nd District, you are lucky to have representation like that.